Welcome to Soundbreaker. In today's episode, we're talking to Jaclyn O'Connell, who happened to be the owner of two amazing companies, Bittersweet Media and Good Grief Management. Good Grief Management, I like that. It's a lot of grief in the music business.
It's a lot.
Yes. Well, Jaclyn, it was a pleasure to have you here on
Thank you for having me.
Soundbreaker. And for our listeners who might not be familiar with you, if you don't mind, just give us a quick introduction before we dive into it and get your background and what got you into this.
Oh gosh, I think that everyone starts in music in very different ways and different doors open. But my kind of professional path was I started in retail, and I spent like almost 10 years doing retail management when I was like in my teens and in my early 20s. I always had a passion for kind of client service and consumer psychology and consumer behavior, and so I transitioned to marketing. And that led me to working at an agency that did trade show marketing for associations, and lo and behold, there's an association for literally everything. So it wasn't really sexy work, but it was very informative to how to run an agency, how to really, have great client service and be a good project manager and account executive. So it laid the really good foundation for what I was wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then I transitioned to music. So I started Bittersweet Media when probably at the end of 2018. I always forget what year. It feels like it's been 100 years. And I started it with the goal in mind to help artists and give the power back to them. Back in 2018, publicity and premieres on publications, that was really, really popular. And it felt like an artist couldn't get a win without having some kind of gate opened for them.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of gatekeeping happening back then and even before that time. So what I really wanted to do was break the digital marketing world down. At that time, a lot of companies weren't really hiring social media managers full time. So they came to us because they were like, hey, you do this thing. We kind of just need someone to like look after it. Can you give us some tips? And now, almost 10 years later, we're like, wow, it's probably the most important role in music is to have someone who's a digital marketer and understands that landscape on someone's team. So it really is interesting to see how that has transitioned over the last, 8 years. And then I started Good Grief Management. I started managing about 4 years ago, but decided to split up the companies just to help myself keep things organized and to better serve my management clients. And music management is an interesting thing. I always talk about how it's so funny that you don't need a degree, you don't need a certification, you can just be a manager.
You need the passion. You need
You
the
need
passion.
passion, a
Yes,
little bit of know-how, but
absolutely. The knowledge.
in general, most people can just be a manager, which makes that job very vague, I think, to a lot of people.
Well, listen, you said in the beginning, you said you started your journey started from retail and you had a passion and interest in human psychology and behavior.
Hmm.
And that is very, very important when you get involved in management because that's all you
Hmm.
deal with, and understand how to cater to them and what they're looking for, what they need. And just to be able to establish that communication that makes them feel at ease and
Yes.
themselves. Yes.
Yeah. That's a big part of being a manager. I think there is always a role or some portion of the role where you are kind of a therapist or you have to do a lot like a decent
Yes.
amount of emotional labor. And
Yes.
I think that young professionals who want to be managers don't realize that that's a really big part of the job. Like being passionate is amazing, and wanting to help and support an artist is amazing. Those are two really important ingredients. But what might not come to light until a little bit later is that it's very emotionally intensive. You are kind of taking care of someone's career, but also guiding them in as an artist. It's a
Mhm.
very challenging role.
Yes. Well, I'm noticing more and more in the past year or so, couple of years, since I started my podcast, I would say Soundbreaker, a lot of the shift now, not to start a record label or distribution, because the doors are open now with the,
Hmm.
DIY, just to do it yourself, DIY,
Hmm.
and all the distribution, it's made it easier right now for a lot of independent artists, and more artists want to be independent
Hmm.
and more shifting to not record labels, shifting more management company and client service, and or I should say artist services, where
Yes.
you provide, like yourself, which is
Mhm.
absolutely important. You
Yeah.
provide management and you provide also digital, well, let's just say marketing in general. Marketing is a
Yeah.
tool that a lot of artists always shied away from and afraid of, because
Mhm.
always in their mind, you have to be a big artist, or you have to be backed up by a major label, or you need a ton of money,
Mhm.
and you don't know if you spent this money, you don't know if you're gonna get it back, it'll be worth it or not.
Mhm.
But where you came in, and others, and obviously you've been doing this for since 2018, so
Mhm.
you have the knowledge and the experience and the track record to prove it.
Yeah.
So yes,
And
and such.
I'm a big advocate for artists owning their catalog too. Like that, I'd say that there's out of my management roster, there's only one artist that is signed to a label. Everyone else is independent. Makes
Amazing.
it really hard, but that is kind of like the pitch, right? We Good Grief is not your ordinary management company. I have my own distribution service through a white label partner. So I can
Amazing.
distribute their music. They can get paid directly from them. It's like a very comparable rate to all of the other things out there. And they get full control over the catalog. They get to see all of the stats. They need anything changed, we can get it changed in 24 hours. So they have full control of everything. And then on top of that, we're more of a management partner than actual managers. We're not really like holding their hand and doing everything for them. We're saying, this is your career. You either want it or you don't. And we both have to work hard to get there. And so there's a clear understanding of what kind of work goes into it and how do we work as a team to get those things done, especially now more than ever that when it comes to marketing and promotion, because DIY and independency is very popular and coming back into favor, and we're seeing a lot of artists succeed in that. There's a lot of work that goes behind that in terms of what the artist has to do and the onus on them. So it's frustrating when I do see that if an artist is on a label and the label is requiring them to do a lot of the work still, making all the content and being the promoter and being the marketer and doing all of these things, where it's like, then how are you being supportive? So it becomes like the conversation now is what do I'd say major labels I'm not 100% sure are necessary anymore. I think they're kind of the Goldman Sachs, investment bankers of the music industry. So I'm not 100% sure that they're necessary. I think indie labels, depending on where you're at and what level you're at, they're being more supportive than most major labels.
Hmm. Why do you think the shift happened, Jacqueline? You've seen it. You had interest and studied consumer and
Mhm.
psychology and behavior. What
Yeah.
was the main shift of artists shifting more independently? They say, you know what,
Hmm.
I don't need to be controlled.
Hmm.
There's plenty of agencies that could help me. I could do my own distribution. I know what
Hmm.
if something I want to take down and change, I could do it myself.
Hmm.
I don't have to be pressured. What is the shift that happened that made a lot of artists kind of gain back their power, empowering themselves? And obviously, agencies like
Yeah.
yourself and independent distribution,
Hmm.
uh, DIY, kind of gave them that empowerment, which is
Yep.
amazing. Artists do need them that empowerment, because without artists, we have no business. You know,
Absolutely.
there's no music business without them. Definitely, as
Yeah.
they say, a lot of bigger company always looked, and the business itself. I've been in
Hmm.
it for 30 years, and I would say the business always looked, unfortunately, at the artist as they are the cash cow. And I said, no, the business should be the cash cow, not the
Hmm.
artist, because without them, we have no music business. It doesn't matter
Correct.
what technology we use in. It doesn't matter how many platforms we have, how many streaming. Without music artists, we have no
Hmm.
business.
I mean, that is the absolute like foundational truth of it all. And I think that there are some people who have been maybe jaded in the industry for too long and they forget that, right? Like they see like, oh, here's this product, here's this business that I have to sell. And I think you lose a piece of the soul and a piece of like, well, no, this is a human being who has something to say and has a perspective and that they want to share that with the world. There's something truly special about that. And I think our management roster is curated that way where the artists that we work with, they're not commercial artists. None of them want to be playing arenas. Like we have those conversations out the gate. Like, what are your goals? And all of them are just like, if I could sell out a 2,000 cap room and pay my rent, I'd be happy, right? They just want a sustainable, real career where they can share their art with people and build community around their art. That's like that's so simple, right? And that's why we go down that path together. To
These are
answer your
true
question,
artists, you know that. These are true, or not manufactured artists. These are passionate artists, like true artists who love
very,
the
yeah,
art
they're all
of
very
being
passionate.
creative. Yes.
Yes. And they're all very passionate about, their videos and their visual aspects. They're all very passionate about how they build community and how they go about, getting fans excited about new music, or even their hobbies and like what they're doing outside of music. I think now more than ever, you need a strategic edge. You can't just have amazing music. You have to have
Yes.
something to say. So you have
Yes.
to believe in something else. You have to love something else where people can feel like, oh, you're a human just like me, but you also make beautiful art. So I think there is that kind of duality. That shift started to happen. I think back when TikTok really broke onto the scene in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
TikTok
Yes.
completely changed our industry. It changed the social media and digital marketing industry. Pandemic also completely changed everything. And that's at a time where everyone was home, everyone was on, Instagram and TikTok. And then we started to see these artists who, were kind of new on the scene, had just maybe written like one or two songs, and then they went viral. And then
Yes.
they got signed to major labels, and they couldn't hit that big, they tried it again and again and again, but they couldn't hit that big red viral button. So the major label's like, hey, we invested like 100 grand in you. You're not doing the thing that we signed you for. We're going to drop you. And so then they're left with nothing. They're left with $100,000 worth of debt, and they don't know where to start, where to begin, because the label was doing everything for them. And now they're just left out in the cold. So after a little bit of time, I'm seeing artists really get their footing and become independent and really focus their energy on how do they run their own business and be an artist. So we're seeing a really big shift in that the artists who were dropped by labels, dropped by managers, dropped by teams, and then kind of left with all of the mess of it all and trying to figure out, how do I do this on my own? And how do I also not make these decisions again? How do I make good decisions for myself? So a lot of times what we're doing at Good Grief is, hey, I'm going to lay out all the chess pieces for you, and we're going to talk about all the different moves on that chessboard. And then you decide what you think is right for you. I'm going to tell you, like, hey, I think you should go with path A. But if you want to go with path C, it's your career. Whether I'm here or not, I'm just here to support you. So it's really about like allowing them to have, agency over themselves and their career, but also letting them know that there are different paths you can take, and here are the potential outcomes.
Interesting. You know, you said something about record labels, they drop you, and that's a good thing if they drop you. A lot of time they'll leave you under contract and in limbo, and they just shelf you. And
Yep.
that's even worse. It's like, okay, what do I do now? I
Yep.
cannot go anywhere. I cannot go left. I cannot go right. I cannot put on my own music. I cannot do my own DIY distribution. You know, what do I
Hmm.
do?
Yep. And
And
they can't
yes,
even start a new act. They can't even start a new band, because part of the contract is that you can't have anything with your name on it anywhere else. And that is very handcuffing and debilitating for an artist.
I'm sure major labels realize all of that. You
Oh,
know,
I'm sure they do. But they're a
yes,
business. And
yes,
that's what they do. They are running a very large business. And so then it becomes the question of, I think, with the change in 2020, with TikTok kind of disrupting how A&R worked and how promotion worked for artists, we're kind of seeing this shift of, okay, the artists can make a lot of their own decisions, but if the major label's going to come in, or any label's going to come in, they have to commit to developing that artist, because that's what wasn't happening. Is that A&Rs were just signing these acts, and they're like, it's gotten a million hits and blah blah blah, like all these great stats for this one song. They buy the rights to that song. They then buy the rights to maybe two subsequent albums, and then that moment didn't really happen again, but they didn't take the time to really develop. They were just trying to hit that red button again. So they've now wasted 2, 3 years of that artist's career where they could have been building and growing.
hmm correct, correct. Very interesting, really, how the music business shifting and it
Hmm.
changing. And yes, TikTok did kind of disrupt and said, "Hey, you know what? I mean, it's a fact that where fans became the
Yep.
creators, the fans became the new creative artist."
Hmm. They
Yes,
did. And that community building is the number one thing that we talk about at Bittersweet when it comes to other clients as well. And when I talk about with my artists, we talk really heavily about being consistent in something. It doesn't have to be social media, just be
correct.
consistent. Whether it's want to release music consistently, do you
Yeah,
want to, connect with your fans, like in person consistently, do something consistently. And then there has to be a community aspect. We have to we have to put the fans first. They
Mm,
have the buying power. They're the ones that are helping us move these needles wherever we go. So we have to be giving back to that relationship. It's a give and take relationship more than ever, because they're the things that are helping people move forward,
mm,
and artists move forward. And I think that has changed so much because the way that the interaction and the consumption of how people discover music, how they interact with fans on social media, our brains have completely changed from the pandemic, and from how we consume media, how we discover new artists. That has completely changed from 2019 to now, and it's continuing to change all the time. And even now, everything in general in the music industry is structured by an algorithm, and that's the new gatekeeper, is the algorithm. And
mm.
so there's always going to be a gatekeeper. How do we work around that thing? And that's what a lot of my job is with digital marketing and with my artists, of like, how do we get you into the Spotify algorithm and get people really listening to you, get you on more radio algorithms. And then on digital marketing, how do we make sure that people are seeing your posts organically, and when's the right time to place ads, when's the right time to like do different things and experiment. And that's a lot of what we're doing, is like a very unique approach to every single artist that we work with.
So, you talk to a lot of artists, you're involved in marketing and all of that, and
Mm-hmm.
distribution. Obviously, you have your own white label. How do you, oh, I would say you brought an interesting point about consumption,
Mm-hmm.
music consumption. And
Yep.
obviously, it changes. It changed. Nobody would thought retail will become history.
Mm-hmm.
You ask any of the 15, 16-year-old kids right now, have you heard of so and so store? It's like, no, what is that? Never heard of that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
gone. Buildings, meaning real estate,
Mm-hmm.
warehouses, manufacturing, printing, packaging. It's like a whole string of businesses were attached to the physical
Mm-hmm.
aspect of the music business. Then it went digital. What is the new era, you think, in your mind, in your vision, what are you been seeing, like some of the writings? Yes, we do have the Spotify's and 400 other streaming platform
Mm-hmm.
DSPs, you know, but everything changes. Nothing
Yeah.
stays forever. Yeah, maybe some of the top DSPs or the digital streaming platform will stay around for a bit for older crowd just to listen to music. Obviously, the
Mm-hmm.
younger crowd want to be part of it, want to interact.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. TikTok was the first kind of experience or experiential kind of way, like, oh my God, I could be the artist myself. I could become the content creator. The fan becomes an artist and the
Mm-hmm.
creator. And I could be part of it because it's all about going viral of that moment, the music I created, or the sound, or certain behavior, whatever video I created. So it's an experience. What's next? How you think consumer will consume music or audio?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, after audio, visual will follow. The
Mm-hmm.
film always follow.
Yeah.
Visual will follow the music a year or two later.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big question, right? Because I think when we think about TikTok coming onto the scene and really breaking through in 2019, 2020, and then before that, it was Spotify coming onto the scene and streaming really breaking, like real
Yes.
breakthrough
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
disrupting the industry. When you think about these two moments, none of them were none of them were music artist focused, right? They were all for, how do we solve a solution that doesn't exist but also take from artists. Both of those situations don't allow artists to grow. They don't allow artists to get revenue and pay their rent. They
Mhm.
literally take away from art, and they are
Correct.
truly there to build a business and disrupt something in the technology world.
And they did.
Technology,
They did.
and
They
they
did.
did. And to this
Yeah.
day, it's like, you look at the streams and you're like, oh my God, my artist got 30,000 streams on the first week of their single release. You're like, that's fantastic. You look at how much money you make, you're like, great, $5. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's even like, wow, that's kind of nice, I guess. And it's like they've taken so much from artists. I mean, music in general was built on exploiting artists. That's the whole business, is how do we exploit them for money? But I think now that brain has shifted because artists are advocating for themselves so much. So I know there's a lot of, in the works to try and get opportunities for artists to get paid more via these streaming platforms. I don't know if it'll go through. But when we really think about those two moments, they weren't really about the artist. They were about how do we get this tech platform to be the big next biggest thing and get people to use it. And TikTok came onto the scene and they were like very, not thoughtful about the music industry at all, because I don't think that they really thought that music was going to be the thing that took off. They thought it was just going to be like another Vine. But lo and behold, it became a music discovery platform. And now they're having to play ball with, the majors and the publishers and how people are actually getting paid on that app for using music. And that's a big challenge as well. But to look forward, I'd say that what's funny about young people not knowing where to buy music. When was the last
Mhm.
time they went into a music store? When was the last time they bought something physical in a physical space? It's funny because I think more young people are craving physicalness. They are craving physical like interaction with the artist, with other fans more than anything. And it's ironic because like vinyl sales are down right now across the board. Physical sales in general are down are down across the board. So it's like the numbers aren't saying that, but they still want to have an interaction. So then
Yeah,
it
well,
becomes
the
a
infrastructure is not there anymore. It's gone. That physical infrastructure
Yeah,
for,
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
it's all
yeah,
displaced too. It's
yes,
all in different areas.
yeah.
And you can find little pockets where vinyl is really strong. I have an artist who has a really strong Patreon where he releases a record every single month, and they're all vinyl heads and they all love vinyl and physical. But there's little pockets. It's not as much anymore as it was. But I think for what's to come, I think there needs to be a streaming platform that actually pays artists. I think like Bandcamp does okay with that, but we need to think about like how are people being able to make a living?
Maybe a new technology of consuming content or music. Let's just start with keep it with audio for now, and that would really give them that. But it has to be new. Could be is adaptive music could be the new.
Hmm.
That's the new thing, which obviously is going to cut. You're talking
Yeah.
about listening to 20, 30 songs in a couple of minutes because it's
Hmm.
based on the emotions and this,
Yes.
and the behavioral. And the second thing I would say, does the video gaming business have the answer for the future to the music business? Because it seems they
Potentially.
always been way ahead of the
Hmm.
music business, the video gaming. So
Hmm.
could it be the answer is there, but we're not really focusing on it, ignoring it, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden we're going to jump on the bandwagon?
Hmm.
They become the new, like how DSPs became the new retailers, physical
Hmm.
retailers would be the new platform of music consumption will be the platforms of based on how the video gaming industry built those platforms. Some of those will become the new. I don't know.
No, I think you got a really good point. I mean, think about during the pandemic, like Twitch and video games and streaming and like artists streaming on Twitch. They had a whole music department that they don't have anymore, but
Yes,
it became a really big thing. And I wonder if yeah, if the video game area is going to be the thing that moves music forward. They've, like you said, they've always been ahead of the game. I mean, let's take Tony Hawk for example. That exposed people to tons of underground artists like DIY and independent artists that people didn't even know about. Now I think it's more like, okay, well, who's the gatekeeper and how do we get in,
and
right? And I
adaptive music is generated from the video games. You
right.
know, yeah.
So yeah, I think it really is like the future of music is precarious, is how I would describe it.
Amazing. Well, Jaclyn, what advice you have to new artists who are really inspired by what do you do and
Mhm.
what are you doing, and also want to be involved in the music business, and artists who wants to get themselves out there? Because I know you work with both. So, what
Mhm.
advice you have to young entrepreneurs who want to get into the music business,
Mhm.
and new artists who wants to get into the music business? Well, to be an
Yeah.
artist. Yeah.
I would say don't be afraid of the cold email. It's okay to send as many emails as you want. People are not going to get annoyed. As in fact, if you send emails or DM people multiple times, you never know when the right moment will come if you're a young musician. Um, and then if you're a young entrepreneur, you're a young, want to be a young professional in music and you're just starting out, I think find your perspective. Find like believe in like something about the music industry. Believe, have a passion, and stand your ground, because there's going to be a lot of people who are going to come in and tell you a lot of different ideas and different ways of doing things. if you find the right way of doing it yourself, believe in yourself and just have the confidence to back yourself. And that's
Mm,
what I kind of started doing in 2018 is I was like, I want to build a really transparent company. I don't want gates to exist. I will give the artist all the keys to everything that they need to do. And I don't care if they don't never hire me again, because that means that now they're autonomous and can do it themselves. And that's most important to me, right? And I think, like I said, more than ever, I'm thankful because people need us. People need
yes.
boutique teams like ours. But my biggest piece of advice to like also young musicians is like, get an LLC, do your taxes. They will catch up with you.
Yes. What's next for your both ventures for Bittersweet Media and Good Grief Management? What to look for and what's
Yeah.
next?
Let's see. I mean, right now we have a lot of campaigns running at Bittersweet, which I'm grateful for. And one of the kind of bigger campaigns that we're working on right now is Mayday Parade is putting out a release called Sweet. It's part of a trilogy of releases. So we're working really hard with them, myself and my creative director, kind of working on both sides of that creatively and marketing wise. So that's been really exciting. And we have a few other artists. Some of our longtime artists are putting together their albums, and so we're working on how to present that to the world. And then for Good Grief, Great Grandpa just released their record on the 28th, and it's going really well, and they're all really excited about it. They just announced a European tour, so that's really good for them. And then Sydney Sprague, one of my other artists, she's newly independent. She just put out on the 26th of March her first independent song, and it's going really well. And she's doing an amazing job. And yeah, I'm just empowering my artists. Pet Symmetry, who's one of my other artists, they have an album coming out. So very busy.
Amazing.
And
Really
they're going
amazing.
on tour, and everybody's going on tour.
Well, Jaclyn, what if somebody want to get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Uh, Probably email. I don't check LinkedIn. So you can email me, Jaclyn at bittersweet.media, or you can DM me on Instagram at Jaclyn_O'Connell.
You heard it first. And right here, I want to thank you, Jacqueline, for this really interesting, insightful, and transparent conversation. Really, very, very insightful, actually. I'm sure a
Thank
lot of
you.
people will find it very intriguing, and you might get some business from it also.
Well, I really appreciate the
Yes.
opportunity to speak on it, and
Oh,
I
my
allow
pleasure.
you. I really appreciate you allowing me to just yap.
No, it's not yapping. It's actually things that need to be talked about. And a lot of artists, I wouldn't say confused, just kind of curious, and they need somebody to give them the right path to go. There's so many choices, and some of them not the right choices. And a person like you come into the picture, Jacqueline, it actually, kind of put some light on all of that and say, hey, you know what? Let me help you. Because you're not
Yeah.
about the money. It's about really empowering and helping
Mhm.
artists.
Yeah.
And it's a trend that's been going extremely strong. And you're one of
Mhm.
the, I would say, advocate and contribute to that.
Thank
Jacqueline,
you.
thank you for joining us again on Soundbreaker today.
Thank you.
And for our listeners, please follow us and make sure to check us always on social media. Stay
Yes.
tuned for our next episode. Jacqueline, again, thank you.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the Soundbreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.